Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort sprawls across 200 acres, making it the largest hotel on Disney property. It has 33 separate buildings located across 5 neighborhoods. But there's a major design flaw here, so the room you book matters. Otherwise, you could end up with a 15-minute walk just to get your morning coffee. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm doing a complete update on the best rooms at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. Caribbean Beach holds a special place in Disney history because it was actually Disney World's very first moderate resort. But I don't want you to hear that and think that it feels dated or worn out. This place has undergone so many massive refurbishments over the last few years that it still looks and feels fantastic. It has that classic tropical, laid-back atmosphere that really makes you feel like you've left Central Florida and landed somewhere in the islands. When you first arrive, you'll head to Old Port Royal, which serves as the port of entry for the entire resort. The lobby here is absolutely stunning, with a fresh, upscale look featuring an open truss roof and floor-to-ceiling drapes that make it feel like a high-end beachfront home. This is where you'll find check-in, concierge services, and most of the resort's amenities. It's the central heart of the resort, but because the property is so spread out, you might only visit this area a few times during your stay, depending on where your room is located. Right next to the lobby is the dining hub. The options here have become some of my favorites on property. For a sit-down meal, you have Sebastian's Bistro, which is an underrated gem serving Caribbean-inspired plates with waterfront views. If you're looking for something quicker, Centertown Market is the main food court, designed to look like an indoor street market. They have everything from classic burgers to island-inspired jerk chicken bowls, and they even have a dedicated grab-and-go section for specialty coffee and quick-service snacks. Now, when we talk about location, this is officially an Epcot area resort, but it's so close to Hollywood Studios that it really feels like the center of the Disney bubble. The absolute biggest perk of staying here, the thing that makes me book this resort over and over again, is the transportation. Caribbean Beach Resort is the hub of the Disney Skyliner system. You aren't just near it, you're at the main station. That means I can zip over to Hollywood Studios in about 5 to 7 minutes, or I can take the other line and be at the International Gateway of Epcot in about 15 minutes. It's a game changer for rope dropping or just getting back to your room for a midday nap. But as much as I love the convenience of the Skyliner, I have to address the main issue at Caribbean Beach. This resort is divided into 5 distinct neighborhoods: Aruba, Jamaica, Barbados, Martinique, and Trinidad. It's a physically massive resort. The theme is incredible. You've got the white sand beaches, the hammocks, and that beautiful center island known as Caribbean Key, where the kids can run around and explore. But the layout presents a challenge. It is basically impossible to be close to everything. You have to make a choice before you even arrive. Do you want to be near the dining and lobby of Old Port Royal, or do you want to be near the Skyliner? See, you can't have both, and if you don't pick the right building, you might find yourself walking forever to get to the pool or to the Skyliner station. That brings us to the big 2026 update. Disney has finally listened to the feedback and simplified the booking process. Gone are the half-dozen confusing room types that we used to have. Standard View and Water View are no longer a thing here. Now you have 2 main choices when you book: standard location and preferred location. It sounds simple, but where these rooms actually sit on the map makes all the difference in the world. If you decide to go with a preferred location room, you are paying a premium to be close to the action. These rooms are almost exclusively located in the Martinique and Barbados sections, and now even in the Jamaica section. Specifically, you're looking at buildings 24, 25, and 26 in Martinique, and buildings 31, 32, and 35 in Barbados. These are the spots you want if your main priority is being a 2-minute walk away from the Fuentes del Morro feature pool, the Centertown Market food court, or a nice sit-down dinner at Sebastian's Bistro. If you have little kids who just want to be in the pool all day, Martinique and Barbados are the way to go. On the other hand, if you are a Skyliner pro and your only goal is to be the first person in line for Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios, you should focus on Jamaica buildings 41, 42, and 43. These have actually been reclassified from standard view to preferred rooms because of their proximity to the Skyliner station. In my last video, I raved about what a great value these rooms were, but I suspect Disney was watching and they realized they could charge more for these rooms, but these rooms put you right at the foot of the gondolas. Now, if you want to know my absolute favorite spot of the entire resort, you want to look at building 45 in the Jamaica section. Even though it is technically a standard location room, it sits almost perfectly halfway between the main Skyliner hub and Old Port Royal. It is a fantastic value because it offers one of the most convenient locations on property without that preferred price tag. It's my best recommendation for anyone who wants a little bit of everything. If you prefer Epcot over Hollywood Studios, you might want to look at the opposite side of the lake in Aruba, specifically buildings 54, 55, and 56. This building is just a short walk away from Disney's Riviera Resort Skyliner station. This is a massive pro tip because the Riviera station is usually much quieter than the main Caribbean beach hub. Just keep in mind that if you're using the Riviera station to go to Hollywood Studios, you'll have to get off at the main hub and transfer anyway. So it's really only a time saver for those Epcot days. Speaking of rooms, we need to talk about the physical layout. Unlike the deluxe resorts, Caribbean Beach features exterior corridors. It has more of a high-end motel vibe, where your door opens directly to the outside. This means no private balconies, which is a deal breaker for some, but I find that the lush landscaping and the beach areas more than make up for it. If you want a little more peace and quiet, I highly recommend requesting a corner room. These aren't a separate booking category, but because they are on the corners, they have an extra window. That extra natural light makes the room feel much bigger, and because you only have one neighbor, it's significantly quieter. Now, I have to talk about the neighborhood that gets the most love-hate relationship, Trinidad. These rooms were updated recently with Murphy beds, which is a huge win for floor space. During the day, you can fold up the bed and actually have room to move around. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. Trinidad is the farthest neighborhood from the main lobby. To give you some perspective, Building 39 in Trinidad is actually closer to Art of Animation Resort than it is to the center of Caribbean Beach. I've joked before that you could drive your car from Trinidad over to breakfast and still feel like it was a trek. If you choose this for the theme or the Murphy beds, just be prepared for that extra long walk every single morning. And here's a tip. If you get assigned a room in Trinidad, take note of the Spyglass Grill. It's a mini quick service restaurant right near the neighborhood pool. Once you've decided which area fits your style, the next hurdle is actually getting the room you want. My biggest piece of advice here is to keep your requests general. I see so many people requesting a specific room number, like room 4112, but the room assigners have a massive puzzle to solve every day. They don't have time to move rooms all around. It creates a chain reaction that will be a nightmare for them. Instead, ask for a general area. For example, tell them you'd like building 45, close to the Skyliner. If you have a floor preference, like the ground floor to avoid the stairs with a stroller, add that in too. Most importantly, if you have a specific need, like the 5th sleeper bed for a family of 5, make sure you let them know that this is your number one priority. If you have 5 people, you'll likely automatically trigger a 5th sleeper, but if you have 4 people and you need the separate sleeping space, you'll have to request it. And remember, it's not guaranteed. And while I'm talking requests, don't book a standard room and then request to be in Martinique, which is a preferred area. Disney charges more for those locations, and there's almost zero chance of an upgrade just by asking. Finally, I have a pro tip for checking in. While Disney pushes everyone to use the online check-in on the app, I actually suggest skipping it if you have a specific room request. In my experience, online check-in just tells the computer to assign you the first available room in your category as soon as you get near the property. It doesn't always take your nuanced requests into account. If you go to the front desk and talk to a cast member, you can remind them that you have room requests or preferred building. Having that human connection often makes the difference between a room looking at a parking lot or a room looking at the water. Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort is vibrant, the transportation is unbeatable, and now that the room categories are simplified, it's much easier to plan your stay. Just remember to choose your neighborhood based on your priorities, whether it's the pool, the food, or Skyliner, and you're going to have a great vacation. And now, here comes another one of my videos that I think you'll find helpful. I'll see you over there.